Breathing is a very important part of swimming. After you push off, you take 2 or 3 strokes, and then you look left. You breathe in when you're left, and then you go back down to swimming, put your head underwater, and you blow. Then, after 2 or 3 strokes, you look right, you breathe in, you look back down, you blow out again. You continue this, and this is how you breathe when you do front crawl.
When you are completing the front crawl, you put one arm forward and then push down underwater in a pendulum motion as you bring the other one up to repeat the same action. When you are doing front crawl, you want your hand to have the biggest surface area it can possibly have, so it draws back as much water as possible, which propels you through the water quicker. You want to then bring your other arm up and dig it into the water, fingers first, and do the same action. One of the things the legs need to ensure they do is to stay lifted and not too low in the water. Make sure that your ankles are in line with your hips, so you're horizontal on the surface of the water. The heels should be looking to just break the surface of the water and to avoid the feet coming out, so there is no wasted energy without any propulsion forwards. It's important you keep your legs close, otherwise any width in the legs will cause a drag effect on the front crawl stroke. When improving your front crawl technique, the aim is to keep your body position as flat as you can, to be streamlined in the water with a slight slope down to the hips to keep the leg kick underwater. Try to keep your stomach flat and level to support your lower back. With eyes looking forward and down, your head should be in line with the body and the water level should come between your eyebrows and hairline. Try to keep your head and spine as still and relaxed as possible. Instead, rotate your hips and shoulders to generate momentum through the water. Your head should only join the rotation when you want to breathe. Your shoulders should come down out of the water as your arm exits while the other begins the propulsive phase underwater. The hips should not rotate as much as the shoulders. If you apply all of the things that we've talked about with the arms and the legs and the breathing, then you should have a very good front crawl technique. My first tactic is called hide and seek. In shorter races, it's pretty difficult to gauge where your competition is, especially when there is another swimmer between you and your main competition. By swimming alongside the swimmer next to you and out of sight of your main competition, you position yourself to be able to make a sudden move, hopefully pulling ahead quickly before they can react. My second tactic is called taking races out slower than expected. The tactic of taking races slower out than expected can be used to advantage by a swimmer competing against someone who has a faster time. Swimming slowly at the beginning of races may fool an opponent into swimming slower than he had planned. As a result, a slower swimmer may be able to stay with the fastest one without becoming fatigued. Consequently, the final sprint to the finish will offer an opportunity to win the race. My third tactic is called drafting. Drafting means swimming in the wake of a competitor. Swimmers say that drafting reduces the energy cost for a race because they are pulled along by the swimmers immediately to the side of them. Due to cavitation, the water pressure will be lower behind an opponent. Accordingly, athletes who swim close to the side of the lane, near the legs, or just behind the feet of a competitor in an adjacent lane will be stroking in low-pressure areas created by the wake of their opponent's kick. In doing so, they will be pulled along towards the high-pressure area in front of the swimmer, and they will expend less energy overcoming water resistance. When bouncing on a trampoline, the main way to get a higher bounce is to use your arms and thrust up and then point your hands to the sky as you bounce up. This will give your body more momentum when you bounce, and it will lift you higher and give you a higher bounce. If you repeatedly keep doing this, you will gain more and more momentum and get higher and higher. When you want to perform a tuck jump, when you're jumping, you use the momentum of the bounce on your legs. As you push off, you bring your legs up to your chest and you wrap your arms around your shins and you release. This is probably the easiest trampoline move to do. When performing a straddle jump, you use the momentum of your bounce to jump up. When you're at the maximum point of your jump, you spread your legs as wide as you can and lean forward and touch your shins, or as far down as you can stretch, with your hands. You then bring your legs back and bounce again and repeat the same action. My first tactic for trampolining is to start off with an easier routine and then build up to the harder ones. So as you can see in front of you, we have 6 mini routines. So the first one, you start off with a half twist jump, a tuck jump, seat drop to feet, and then a straddle jump. You could start off with routine A, and as you continue through the levels, you can then end on routine F, which is much harder than the beginning one. This will impress the judges more than doing your best routine at the start and then having nothing else to go on. My next tactic would be using higher scoring moves on your routines. For example, doing a move like a twist jump would only get you 0.1 points. Instead, you could do something like a bounce roll, which would get you 0.6 points. If you continue to use higher scoring moves in your routines, then you have a tactical advantage over the opponents, as you will be gaining more points. Another tactic for tournament purposes is not to show your routine moves in your practice. Opponents can copy and gain credit which isn't theirs. Also, in tournament conditions, always leave your better moves for the later part of the contest, as said previously.